Shalom, it's Jeremiah Call. Before we start off, I want to give praises to the Father and the Son. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakakadash, Yahweh, is who the people ignorantly call God, and Yahushua is who the people ignorantly call Jesus. You so-called black, so-called Hispanic, so-called Native Americans, you are the Hebrew Israelites. So, you know what, sparked this lesson is, at my job that I work at, I've seen a couple of, brothers and sisters, come in there wearing fringes or, a fringe dress for the sisters. And, man, it shows that, Israel is waking up, man. It's a beautiful thing to see our people coming back to who we truly are, man. Knowing our true identity. That's, prophecy being fulfilled, man. This is Baruch 2:30. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves, man. And the Israelites says we are coming back to our knowledge of who we are, through all the deception that, these nations have put the Israelites through, we still came back to remembering our true selves, man. Because, it was the will of the Lord. All these nations came together to ultimately destroy the Hebrew Israelites, man. And, in the midst of all their, wicked ways, we still came back to who we truly are, man. And, not only is Israel waking up, but as Israel is waking up, these prophecies are coming to pass, man. Like you got, this third woe, which we are in the midst of. You have all these prophecies, coming to pass, man. The MOTB. Psalms 83. Yep, here we go. This is Psalms 83 and 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head, man. Ultimately, these heathens hate the Israelites. And, if you hate the Israelites, man, then that means, you hate how about Shimi Yahushua, man? Just like if you hate the prophets that the Lord sent, then you ultimately, hate Yahweh Shimi Yahushua. Because it's the Lord that speaks through, the prophets that he sends. So they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And for all these hundreds and hundreds of years, we wasn't calling ourselves, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. from the tribe of Levi. We won't saying that. We was calling ourselves, well, I'm an African, or I'm an African American. I'm a Native American. I'm a Latino. I'm a Hispanic. And when you go into the meaning of the word Hispanic, it basically means, his slave, man. It says verse 5, for they have consulted together with one another. They are confederate against thee, man. And all these nations ultimately hate the Hebrew Israelites, man. That's why all these nations came together to destroy us from being a people. When you look at all the things that are happening today, that's why these plagues are being spread out throughout the whole world, man. Because these heathen nations that help destroy us as a nation, as a people, are spread out throughout the whole world, man. That's why you got all these big destructive earthquakes happening. You have all these wars, heathen on heathen crime. You got Edom bombing Edom. You got Edom bombing Ishmael. You got Ishmael bombing Edom. So these heathens are paying for the atrocities that they have done to the Hebrew Israelites. Verse 6, the tabernacles of Edom, meaning, the Edomites are the modern day white people, man. It says, and the Ishmaelites, the Arabs. And then we look at what happened in Africa. The Ishmaelites was rounding up Hebrew Israelites to sell to the Edomites, man. It says of Moab and the Hagarenes, Moab, Chinese, all these nations took part in the destruction of the Hebrew Israelites, man. And it says, and the Hagarenes. When you look into it, Hagar was a Egyptian, woman that had a baby with one of our forefathers. It says Jabal and Ammon. Okay, we know Ammon is the Japanese. It says, and Amalek, which is, the Amalekites are the Israelites. The ones that's pretending to be the Hebrew Israelites. It says the Philistines, which the modern day Philistines would be, them tall Africans in Africa that be jumping high up and down, that be drinking cow blood and stuff like that. It says with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Salah. So, all these nations came together, man. That's why when it's all said and done, man, all these heathen nations, have to go into captivity, man. Because, if we look at it even before, they collided to take us down, in Africa, we were already in captivity to a lot of these nations before that, man. And that's why the scriptures say, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Because, over time, all these, hundreds and hundreds of years, man, these nations have been having their way, with our people. And, just like how, they were giving us tribulation, making our day hard, making our life a living hell. We're gonna recompense that, man. Just like how we were their captives, they're gonna be our captives, man. Man. And that's the ultimate humbling story, man. The people that you look down and despise, which are these heathens despise the Hebrew Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites are going to be ruling over them, man. Especially, these elites of these heathen nations. But with that, hope this lesson was edifying through spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All praises unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Until next time, Shalom, Yahshua.